Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and this is a video about how to make reactions. While I'm not the biggest or most popular reaction YouTuber, like by a massive, massive long shot, I've gotten, a fair number of comments over the years saying that I do very good reactions. And at this point, I've spent several years doing reactions, learning how to do things from both myself and just watching other people do them. And I thought I'd put together just a guide for anybody looking to do them themselves to make both, just good videos in general and also just, show some decorum and have some respect. So without further ado, let's actually start this and actually show how to make a reaction video. So yeah, there's going to be multiple parts to this video, and as always, there'll be multiple chapters that you can skip along if you want to fast forward through parts. But the first part of this video is going to be more philosophical than practical, and it's simply, why do reactions? I mean, a lot of people do and make them, so there has to be a reason for it, and I've kind of boiled it down to three main reasons why, you do a reaction. From both my own experience and from what I've seen other people do, and they boil down to such. First, and I'm going to be a bit blunt and crass here, it is easy views compared to basically anything else. I'll use my own personal example here. Now, when I started uploading on this channel, I started purely as a Let's Play channel. And I started uploading basically daily videos, and in my own naivety, I decided I was going to upload them in a, an older style. Long, multi-part series, minimal editing, also very, very bad thumbnails because I just didn't have the tools to make them back then. I basically made them all when I did make them, in basically, Microsoft Paint. And I just fiddled along with that for literal years, more out of just, habit than anything else, hoping that one day I'd finally break through the algorithm and that there'd be people out there looking for, older, more classical Let's Play experience. Boy, was I wrong. And over all that time, I had thought, of doing other stuff as well on my channel or on other channels, and reactions came up multiple times, but I just kept putting it aside saying, oh, if I keep doing Let's Plays, eventually it'll work, eventually something will catch. And I kind of kept up with that until, 2022, at which point my first official reaction series I did was In Space with Markiplier, and that was a lot of fun, and it got a lot of views for my channel at the time. Then I decided I was going to start doing game theory reactions, because I always loved watching game theory, and I thought that I could add a lot just to my own thoughts, and those did very well compared to my series, and it just started going on from there, and well, the results speak for themselves. I'll go over to the live sub count on my channel. It's a slow process where it increases. It was a happy day when I first hit double digits and up like that. And then we just go over to 2022, and we see the numbers start increasing faster and faster and faster and faster. Oh, the line's going up quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. I mean, proof's right there. Reaction videos, they work, they get views, because people want to watch them. And there are other reasons to do reactions. I mean, it's a good way to share your views and opinions on things. It's a good way of seeing, topics and videos that you might have not looked for, or the algorithm might have not sent your way naturally. If you're big enough, then it's a good way of helping smaller creators and showing off their stuff to a wider audience. If the reaction is done right, which we'll get to that later in the video. But with all that aside, another part of the question is, why do reactions work so well in the first place? Why do people watch them? Why are they so popular? And like with the first question, I've boiled it down to three main reasons just from my own experience and other places I've looked online and stuff like that. Which, the first reason kind of boils down to just how the human brain works, and it's that it can get used to anything. Now, what does that actually have to do with reaction videos? Well, it kind of boils down to the fact that, you can only ever watch a video truly for the first time. While you can watch movies, shows, videos on YouTube multiple times, as many times as you want, and while you still may get, a level of enjoyment and satisfaction out of watching it, eventually you start running into the problem of diminishing returns. And watching a video or a movie or a show will never be the same as watching it for the first time. But from what I've seen just myself and what I've seen other people talk about, a good way of kind of experiencing something for the first time again is to watch somebody else experience it for the first time. Thus, the reaction video. Whether it's just a YouTube video, or a show, or a movie, or anything. Seeing somebody watch something for the first time kind of tricks your brain even just a little bit into thinking that it's experiencing itself for the first time, because we as humans are good at empathizing with people, and using our empathy, abilities, we're able to kind of trick ourselves into feeling that same way again, even if just a little bit. Now, the second reason is, very connected to the first, where it's fun to see somebody like the same things you like, or hate the same things you hate. And everybody watching this video will know what I'm feeling, where the feeling of being able to, you go to a friend, you share something you like with them, and they like it just as much as you. It is a feeling of connection, and it just feels good. And the third reason, again, very connected, is just wanting to see what, more people think of a video, or a movie, or a show. But, you can always go out and go online to read a review, watch a video reviewing something, but actually seeing somebody's reaction to something, firsthand, is just a level above that. And it's those three main reasons, I think, are why reaction videos are so popular just in the first place. But, philosophy aside, we should actually get to the nitty-gritty of how to actually do reactions then. So, if you're going to do reactions, you have one big question to think about when you start. And it's, what kind of reaction channel are you going to be? And while I was writing the script for this video, I came across a phenomenon that I've dubbed the P's of reacting. And when you're deciding what kind of reaction channel you're going to make, you run into the first two P's of reacting. Now, what are these P's? They relate to what I've coined the two types of reaction channel. You either have the professional reactor or the personality reactor. Now, those names are pretty much what they say on the tin. A personality reactor is basically your bog standard reaction channel. I'd honestly hazard a guess that 95% of reaction channels out there are personality reaction channels, and they basically boil down to a random person, like moi, just watching something and putting their thoughts out there. It is the most bog standard, the most basic reaction channel you can have, and it is also the most simple because you can watch basically anything you want, and then you just have to talk about it. But it comes at the cost of having more scrutiny from your audience because, you don't have really anything to stand on. You're watching something and you're, just stating your opinions on them. But you have no professional standing to stand on. It's all just you and nothing else. Now, alternatively, the professional reactor, while obviously a much smaller subset of the reaction community, is still just as popular because your standing as the reactor is done from a standing of a professional, where if you've watched reactions over the last number of years, you'll know that for a time, the biggest thing of these professional reactors was, say, a doctor reacting to a medical drama, Or you have physicists reacting to videos talking about stars or fusion reactors. Or you have soldiers reacting to videos about army equipment or army history or, you know, that kind of thing. Now, the upsides with that is you're given a little bit more credibility as a reactor because you're talking from somebody with an actual profession, with who's spent years learning either a craft or a trade or a skill or just a knowledge set. But the downsides with this form of reaction channel are that, one, there's the much larger upfront cost, given that you're probably going to have to go to medical school or some other massive time sink to, you know, actually get the skills and knowledge. And your potential range of reaction targets is much more limited. Again, you go to it and one of the, reaction targets you see are, doctors reacting to medical dramas or such. And thankfully for them, there's a lot of those medical dramas around. But yes, once you've actually decided what type of reaction channel you're actually going to create, the next big question is to ask, how are you going to make reactions? Now, when it comes to actually recording a reaction, you can record it in one of two ways, really. In one piece or in multiple pieces. One piece recording is very simple. Using something like OBS, you set up a stage, have everything placed where it should be for the video, and hit record. This comes with the benefit that making videos is much easier and much quicker, given that you don't have to do anything other than putting on an intro or an outro when you're actually editing the video. The downside, however, is that you're much more limited when you're actually editing the video if you're adding anything in the middle of it. Now, alternatively, you can record things in multiple pieces like I do. I personally use Bandicam while recording, and with the right settings, it records my face cam, my screen, and both of my audio channels as separate things that can all be easily changed, while editing. The downside with this method is that editing does take longer and is more intensive. And if you're not careful, you can run into problems such as sound desync or other things. Now, with that all over with, the question then becomes, what are you actually going to react to? And you can come at this question from one of two directions. When you're first starting out, you should hit a wide variety of topics. Just, basically watch whatever you like. But it is best if you kind of focus in on one similar topic just to help build your audience first. Then once you have a sizable enough audience that likes watching your videos for you, then you can start branching on into other topics and watching other things. If you look at my channel, I myself, hit a rather small and hyper-specific niche in that most of my reactions that do well are, Deltarune and Undertale theory related, which I did not realize such a specific niche even existed. But that's all well and good if you're reacting to YouTube videos or something of the like. If you're reacting to things such as like TV shows or movies, then how you actually make the reaction is a little bit more convoluted. Whether you're recording in one piece or in multiple pieces, if you're doing like something quote-unquote official, such as a show or a movie, the content ID system on YouTube is not going to be your friend, and you're going to do multiple things to obfuscate your video and what you're watching so that, you can actually get monetized. Now, there are many ways you can do this, and it's best to utilize multiple methods at the same time. But basically, there are two things you want to do. One, you want to obscure the video in some way so you're not showing the entire picture. Now, I've seen this done many ways, whether it's just the video being partially transparent, or if you're only showing a certain part of the video itself, such as like a circle or an oval of the full thing, or you have some sort of weird transparent image over the video itself. You want to obfuscate what you're watching enough so that while the people watching videos know where you are, you can't have somebody from, say, Disney or something point at you and say, hey, you're just showing off our product for free. Alternatively, I've also seen people where what they do is they actually don't show what they're reacting in the video for good portions of the reaction. Where at the beginning of, say, an episode of a show, they'll show a bit and then it'll fade out and not be visible for a good portion of the video before being shown periodically just to make sure that, everybody's on the same point. Another good way of doing it is just not showing the complete thing. This is most often done in reactions to anime, where, you know, Japanese copyright law is much more strict than in North America, or with movies where the full length of the movie would kind of make it awkward to watch. So in that case, chopping out bits of the reaction where you're not saying anything or nothing really interesting is happening is often just in your best interest. A good example of this is basically look up a reaction to any movie you like, and a good portion of them will be shorter than the actual movie is. Why? Because they cut out all the boring parts. And now, well, we figured out why you should make a reaction channel, why people watch reaction channels, what kind of reaction channels to make, and how to actually record them. But now, arguably, we're on to the, you know, most important part of, you know, making reaction videos, and that is reaction etiquette. Now, why is a code of ethics required for reactions? Well, that would be the third P of reacting, because reactions are inherently parasitic. Yeah, I think we've all known, or at least seen, you know, reaction videos that are not the best and are, you know, basically blatant content theft. And while it is said that, you know, you should always watch the original before you do a reaction, it's the truth of every video on YouTube that every video is somebody's first. So there is the chance that, you know, somebody will come across your reaction video before having watched the original. And it is your duty as the reactor to try to get as many eyes and as much traffic back to the original poster as physically possible, while also making sure that, you know, the videos you're producing are actually worth watching in the first place. So, when it comes to, you know, trying to get as much traffic back to the original creator as possible, there are several ways you can do that, and arguably you should be using every single one. We'll look at how I do it on my videos just as an example. So, first, if you did not know, you can actually put clickable links to other YouTube users in video titles. All you have to do is, when inputting the title, put an @ then start typing out the channel name. And you'll be given a list, you can click on it, and huzzah, it is now a clickable link once you actually publish it. As you can see, it is now a link that when you click, will instantly bring you to the original creator's channel. And also another, very classic way is to literally just put the link to the video you're watching in the video description. Now, that being said, there are a couple of things about, the video link, and it's that, like, 3/4 of the time when I'm watching a reaction video, I have such a hard time actually finding the link because the person uploading does not draw enough attention to it in the description. If you see here, I have, original video. I have lines surrounding it so it's more eye-popping and sticks out. It's also, the first link in the video description. Now, that being said, this problem used to be a lot more worse than it is now. Because as of about just over a year ago now, at the time of me recording, YouTube has started making it so that when you put a link to another video in the description, it becomes a highly visible clickable button. Now, going on to the next part of reaction etiquette. Now, there is no set formula, to my knowledge, of like how long a reaction has to be. Arguably, the best you can do is just talk about the video as much as you can, pausing often whenever you have something to, actually say. Which, here is a little thing I probably should just add. To any, creators out there, whether like future or current, who do reactions in the form of a stream, and then you download the stream and chop it up into individual videos later on. That is obviously super fine and probably a very efficient way of doing things. But when you do reactions in the form of a stream, I ask that you make sure you actually pause the videos when you go to talk to your chat. I don't know how many times I've seen it, but I've seen it a number of times where you've seen somebody streaming a reaction and they go to like talk to their chat because a chat member said something, but they don't bother pausing the video, so they miss a crucial bit of information or a plot point or something of the like, and then later on they're super confused because they literally talked over a part of the video. But, going back to the actual length of reactions, my go-to formula is to, at the very least, hope that my reaction is 50% longer than the original video. That means that just off the top of my head there, that like for a, half-hour long video, the ending reaction should be at least 45 minutes long. If you are not removing any parts of the original video in your reaction. Again, going back to movies and TV and anime and stuff like that. But then again, as it is, because most of the time people coming to a reaction channel will be coming for you, the more of you can put in the video, the better. And generally, the more you means the longer the video. But, as with anything, there is a good way and a bad way to do this. You can increase the length of your reactions using really anything, as long, again, as it's relevant to the video you're reacting to. One of my go-tos for long, really in-depth reactions when it comes to this sort of stuff is a YouTuber called a 3B Skyen. Now, he has many channels doing many things, but one of his channels is dedicated to posting long-form reactions, which right now, at the time of recording, a lot of it is glitch, media such as Amazing Digital Circus, Murder Drones, stuff like that. Which, a good example of this is his reaction to the Knights of Guinevere release trailer, which, if you haven't seen, the trailer itself is just under 1.5 minutes long. Would you like to hazard a guess as to how long Skyen's reaction to the trailer is? Almost 50. And how does he do this? He talks a lot about animation practices and processes. He talks about things happening in the animation industry and how it's different from glitch to from Disney, given that, the trailer seems to point a lot of fingers at Disney as well. He also makes on-the-fly YouTube poops.
If you want to use this reaction as a way to sort of watch the show along with someone and see their reactions, this is not a good... I know these videos are called reactions, but they're not like other reactions on YouTube. I get a little bit more in-depth with it.
Let's ask him.
You can do anything in a reaction, and a lot of people limit themselves to just talking. Like I myself, I don't edit the most things into my reactions, but when I do, it's oftentimes something that I'm referencing. I'll think of a video or something that reminds me of something that just happened in my reaction. And then, while I'm editing, I'll literally insert the clip into the video just as a way of communicating what I was actually talking about. But again, when I say, make sure your reaction is longer and bigger than the original video, make sure you're actually in the video. Granted, it is several years old at this point, but the worst, most egregious case of just not being in the video that I can honestly remember in recent years was a reaction that XQC did. Now, I'm not going to go in depth about what happened. If you're curious, you can look it up yourself. But basically, XQC was doing a reaction on stream. Then, he left in the middle of the video. Like, for a solid 10 minutes. He left his stream and left the video running in front of his entire stream. I honestly don't think I have to explain why that is bad. And that's ignoring the fact that the reaction he did do wasn't that good, where he just sit there quietly for huge portions of the video and not actually say anything, and not really add anything to the reaction at all. So we're just going to put another rule up, for, reaction etiquette. Don't be like XQC. Now, next on reaction etiquette is, obviously, respect for the original creator. Now, this can obviously take many forms. The most basic being, as I stated earlier, just making sure to link back to the original as much as possible, just to catch those few people that might not have actually seen the original before coming across you. But that also extends to, respecting the creator's time and effort, and also the creator's wishes. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, any good reaction should be posted at a minimum 1 to 2 days after the original was posted. Now, why is this? Well, for the simple fact that for the vast majority of videos on YouTube, the majority of the traffic they will ever receive within their lifetime is received within the first 1 to 2 days of being public. The only exception of this is if something happens to make the topic of the video relevant again, and they'll sometimes get small spikes in traffic again. So as a result, you should hold back on your reaction so the original video can get as much of its, traffic as possible before you start riding on its coattails. Does that mean that the potential number of views your video get will decrease? Probably. But at the end of the day, what few bucks you won't get from ad revenue is worth much less than just the common, respect and decency that you can get just by, again, respecting the original creator. As an extension of that, another thing you can do to respect a creator's wishes is to just listen to them. At the time of making this video, I've had 2 creators I've reacted to ask me to stop making reactions of them. The first one asked me to just take down all the videos I had made of their content completely, which I did. It wasn't that big a deal. It was 2 videos. Boo hoo hoo, so sad. The second one, while asking me to stop reacting to their content, did not ask me to take them down. So, the videos are still there, I just won't make any new ones. Also, just to make things easier, it's also a good idea to probably have a public list somewhere of YouTubers you won't do reactions to and the reasons why, just so that it makes future requests easier. For me, I have that list on my Discord server. But at the end of the day, this is all about respect, and if you want any respect, you should be expected to give it at the same time. But, yeah, that is pretty much it. That is my guide for how to make reactions that are both good and meaningful. Now, that's pretty much it, but if you have any tips that you'd like to throw in as well, make sure to leave them in the comments below, and I'll make sure to give them a like or a heart, or if it's good enough, I may even pin your comment, who knows. So yeah, I hope you found this video useful, and I hope you liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.